Every 4 years, men all over the world train as hard as they can to try to win a date with the most beautiful girl in the world. No matter who you are, where you came from, or how much money you have a chance to win her heart. You only get 4 years with her, but boy, are those the 4 best years of your entire life. She'll make you feel like a god sent an angel down just for you, and you'll be in a place where the wine was never sweeter and the food was never richer. Every day you'll question what you have done to be so blessed with such a woman by your side, and every day she'll answer with, you. But every 4 years the fantasy has to end, and she goes back to the dating pool to find her next king capable of treating her like the queen that she is. So of course, men from all over the world compete for her affections. They train, they eat, they shower, they study, they strategize, they do everything in their power to win her favor. But unfortunately, with so many suitors, she can't possibly entertain them all. So they'll have to prove to her and to each other that they are the one and only person that would treat her the best. Every suitor has their own attitude, their own ideas of how to woo her, and how they strut their stuff. These are some of the guys that are typically in the running. Brazil. Super attractive and romantic. Sometimes has a strange bit of fashion sense, but for the most part, it works. He kind of always runs a bit hot-blooded, so he might step on some toes if he needs to. Oh, but he also juggles. Mexico. Solid guy, always good in group, but always seems to have a hard time on the one-to-one dates. Argentina. Also attractive and can be more hot-blooded than his rival Brazil at times. Instead of juggling, he tangos. Uruguay. The dwarf between two giants, but he's got the humor and the dramatics. He also hides a surprise in his back pocket from time to time. Germany. One of the best looking guys of the lot. Tall, strong, chiseled, and learned. He's stable, perfect on paper, and the best to bring home to the parents. He's definitely a planner, so he'll plan out his dates days in advance so he knows exactly how the night will go. England. Great fashion sense, decent accent, but he often gets nervous and crumbles under the pressure. Poor boy could use a boost of confidence if it weren't for that dang German who doesn't even notice him while he's in the room. France. Not very flashy, but always a gentleman. He's a fan of the 4-hour-long dinner with a dessert and wine. Netherlands. Solid guy, he bears tulips and brings the best he can, which can actually take him pretty far. But everyone kind of laughs at him because he's always the second choice and is never really able to go home with her in the end. Spain. He really kicked his game into gear recently. He has his own style and flair and a lot of enthusiasm. Italy. Always a surprise. He can give her the best date of her life or the worst date of her life. For the most part, it's good, but you can never really tell with Italy. And lastly, America. We're just not in her league, not even close. She still gives us a chance from time to time, even though we insult her by calling it soccer and write puff pieces about why we don't need her to inflate our own ego. In the initial stages, they get put into groups so she can kind of figure out who works with each other, how their personalities go against each other, and which works the best for her. In this round, they are capable of losing once or so, and they're still considered. This gives the smaller guy a chance to shine even if he couldn't perform for one day. So all of these guys have their reputations at stake, and their families back home rooting for them with all their heart. Some of the families have poured all their life savings into this chance for their son to date Miss World Cup, so the pressure gets on and it's higher and higher for them to succeed. It can get pretty stressful at times, so it's good to remember as long as you tried your best and you're gracious in losing, there's no reason why you can't go home with your head held high. Even more importantly, the men who advance round by round need to be gracious winners as well. Obnoxious showboating and insulting each other is frowned upon in front of Miss World Cup. So don't do it. Sometimes things will be unfair. Like she might not notice that one guy changed the other guy's dinner reservations on them and they'll just kind of have to deal with it. Unfortunately, that's the name of the game. She doesn't like it, she tries to catch it when it happens, but if it happens and she only notices that after the fact, there's not much she can do after her decision's been made. Everything after the groups is another competition entirely. If you had an off night in the first round, you can't afford to have one here. There are no more second chances. If you take her to a 1-star restaurant, don't be surprised if she ends up choosing the guy willing to take her to a 5-star restaurant. But still, It's not always a guarantee with money. If she enjoys eating at a taco stand where she can laugh and be herself, it might be better to take her there than the opera where she can't even hear you over some ear-splitting falsetto. So don't be pressured into following the perfect date night Mr. Moneybags has planned. If you give her the best date of her life, she'll see it. But also, you can't just pour everything you have into that one date with her. You're expected to rise to the occasion again and again. She's looking for consistency. Anyone can plan the perfect date once. Planning it twice, 3 times, 4 times is another thing entirely. So don't burn out, don't freeze, don't crumble under the pressure. Be a sensible guy and have your backup plans in reserve. It's often the guy with the most conviction and the most drive that wins in the end. If you were her, you'd want nothing less, right? She's the smartest, most beautiful girl in the world, so it only makes sense that she wants the fastest, smartest, and most talented man in the world as well.